You've probably seen those videos on YouTube of those people with those beautiful hands and those beautiful nails playing the kalimba, and you might be wondering, how can someone like me who has no nails at all play the kalimba? Well, it is definitely possible, but there's some techniques that you need to be aware of so that you don't hurt your fingers, and I'm going to show you that. First though, this channel is all about learning about music and all sorts of instruments. In fact, I'm learning a different instrument every month for the entire year of 2020. And I want to share all that with you. So make sure and subscribe. This is the length of my fingernails, and as you can see, they're very short, so it's definitely possible to play the kalimba without fingernails of any mention. So let's talk about how you can play without hurting your fingernails. So if you look at, let's talk about the thumb position, because the thumb position can really make a big difference as far as how this goes for you. If you keep your thumbs below the tines and you reach up to pluck them, if you get in close here, notice when I raise the thumb, this is what we want to avoid, this particular position where the tine is going in between the fleshy part of your thumb and your fingernail. If you jab that, that's gonna hurt, and you could bruise your thumb and make it really impossible to play the kalimba with this finger for a very long time. Very painful. So we want to avoid that. So a better position is to come up above the tines with your thumbs resting up above here. So rather than holding it alongside your index finger like that, you kind of want to hold it in the middle of your palm so that your thumbs are coming up above the tines. Secondly, you can actually still run into this problem if you're coming up above the tines. If you push down, as you push down, notice that we're back in that position again where the tine is like right in between my thumb, my fingernail, and my fleshy part of my thumb, which is bad. You don't want this. And that's because I was just pushing straight down like that, pushing straight down. And so the safe motion for playing without fingernails is to basically slide off the edge of the tine. Now, if you notice, these tines have like a curve. So they go up and then they go down like a little slide. You're basically like putting your thumb on the top of that slide, and then as you fall off the slide, you're pushing the tine down with a combination of the fleshy part of your thumb and the tip of your fingernail. So you can still get a very good plucking sound, but you're basically, instead of the pressure coming from just for your fingernail, which separates your fingernail, your thumbnail from the rest of your thumb, which is really not pleasant to do, instead you're pushing it down, pushing it at an angle, and as you just do that as you slide off. And so it's one continuous motion, and you can do that for hours. And in fact, I practiced the kalimba for 1 month for an hour each day, and I didn't have any problems, these kind of problems. The only time I had problems is when I was sewing my pants that had a rip in it, and I accidentally poked my thumb with the needle, and that was very painful. And so that made it painful to play the kalimba, but it wasn't from kalimba playing itself. So it's definitely possible to do that without harming yourself. So let's summarize. Don't play coming from the bottom of the tines coming up, because that will give you more chance to clip the fingernails, clip your thumb with the fingernails like that. Don't come at it from above straight down, because it's the same problem. We'll just put the tine in between our fingernail and our thumb, which is not good. Instead, get to the top of this slide and then slide off while pushing down, and you'll get a nice, satisfying pluck. So if your fingers are in pain, if your thumbs are in pain, you can actually switch it up by laying the kalimba flat and using your fingers to play. They're just as subject to problems as your thumb, so make sure and follow the procedures I just mentioned for the thumb, where you come down the slide while pressing down to avoid any problems. One thing I will say, if you're using the pads of your fingers to play like I do, is to make sure to not put too much pressure like that. The reason why is, you might be trying to get more volume from your instrument, but you're putting yourself at risk for even bruising your thumb, and on the bad off chance that you catch it in between your thumb and the fleshy part, like the fleshy part of your thumb and your fingernail, that could be very painful. So just go easy on it. And if you really are finding that you just are not getting enough volume, there are other ways, like, well, just really, there are other kalimbas that are of a larger size that you'll get more volume from. And so don't try to force it out of the instrument if you find yourself doing that. Another option that you can have is to use a prosthetic or some other device that will allow you to pluck without having to use your thumbs. You can do it like this. It's a little bit unintuitive. It's not generally how people play the kalimba, and so that is an option. And there's another YouTube video I'll link to in the description. It was really ingenious. He uses guitar picks that you put on your fingers that are straight, so you can put them on your thumbs, and he used glue on the ends and roughed it up to make it so that they weren't so smooth, because you'll notice that these are very slippery, not as comfortable to play. Those are definitely options for you if you wanted to use something else to play the kalimba. Another interesting thing that you can use is my kalimba actually came with this funky looking finger guard. I can only find one, so I might have lost the other, or perhaps you could use this if one thumb was hurting in particular. But if you were having some trouble, you could use something like this to still use your thumb, but protect it at the same time. So now you know how to play without hurting yourself with those short nails of yours. You're in the same boat as me. I have a video where I cover all the basics of the kalimba, including buying a kalimba and tuning the kalimba, that you should really check out. It goes, in depth and shows you how to even read kalimba notation and music so that you can play any song that you want to. Thanks for watching.